Hello and welcome back to the channel, and in today's episode I'm going to show you how to recreate Space Invaders in Godot 4. So this is a completed game. As you can see, we have the, let's say, main menu, but this is just a scene with one button, and when you click you are directed to the game with the bunkers, with invaders shooting, with the UFO on the top, tracking the score, and also with death, let's say, animation, and counting your lives. The game can be won by shooting all the invaders. The game can also be lost if the invaders go too low, or if you lose all of your lives. Let me just try and find the some projectile that I can get hit by. Maybe this one. Okay. And then you have the ability to restart the game. So this is what we'll be working on. One note though, there's no sound in the game because that was like the last thing left to do, but it would make the tutorial longer than it already will be, and it will be long. But if you'd like to know how to add a sound to your game, you can check out my previous tutorial about Asteroids game. Okay, let's get started. So we will start with the Godot project screen. I'm using 4.0.2, but I know that there is 4.1 coming with some new cool features, so maybe the next tutorial I'm gonna make in the latest dev version. I'm just gonna start a new project. I'm gonna change the name to Space Invaders tutorial. I'm gonna find the right path for it. And this seems correct. This is not okay. I have to create a folder. Space Invaders tutorial. Cool. Version control metadata is Git. It's cool because Git is working very well with Godot, other than Unity, which has some problems. One of the many reasons to switch. Renderer forward is fine, and let's create an edit. Okay, so let's immediately switch to 2D, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring all of the assets that I'm going to need. So these are the fonts, the sprites, basically every single thing that we need for our game. And you can find all of these in the repository, in the GitHub repository. Link is in the description below. Also, there's one font, Andina, that I'm using, and let me just find it real. What I did is just I went to the urban fonts and I searched in free fonts for a pixel font, and the Andina is here. That's the font that I'm using. You can choose any other one. So thanks to Federico Abui for creating that font, because we will use it in our tutorial. So let's get to work. And actually, I'm not going to start with creating the game itself. Let's start by creating a new scene and call this start screen, and we will start working on our start screen. So let's change this. Since this is gonna be UI based scene, I'm gonna change the type to canvas layer. Okay, and let's go to project settings, search for clear to change the background to black. Cool. And now it looks properly. So let's start with our wonderful canvas layer. Start screen, I'm gonna add the margin container, and I'm gonna make it span across the screen. So go to anchor presets and click this one, which is the full rect. In team overrides, I'm gonna add all of the margins that I want, and that's gonna be 16, 16, 16, and 16. And then we will need a label at the top. So let's search for label. Let's anchor it to the top and center, and it's gonna just say Space Invaders. Cool. For the settings, we need the alignment to be center and center. I also want that to be in 2 lines. And then we can already use our wonderful font. So go to Theme Overrides, Font, choose Quick Load, and Andina is gonna pop up. Let's change the font size. Let me see. The font size is 108. And let's change the color to green, or basically any other that really makes you happy. So yeah, go crazy. Okay, then we're going to need VBox container for vertical alignment. So VBox container, and in that I am going to need 3 hbox containers. So hbox container, and let's duplicate this, and let's name this Invader container 1, Invader container 2, Invader container 3. Okay, and here what we're going to do is we are going to place a texture for all of them. So that's texture rect to create an image, and we will have to, this is the margin container. Let me see. The margin container we can align to middle. Oh, actually, we don't need this to span. We don't need this to span the whole space. So yeah, let's take the label and put it as a child of start screen, because then I can place it basically where I want. So let's place this at the top. And for margin container, let's bring it to the bottom. Let's check the localization. No, the transform. Yeah, that's like in the middle. Cool. So here I have the texture rect, and I am going to search for texture called, I believe, Invader 1. And no, I'm going to search for Invader 3. 1. Okay, cool. As you can see now, it's very, very small. So we have to set the custom minimum size. And the custom minimum size in our case is, I believe, 60 by 60. And you can see that this is a little blurry. This is because the texture filtering is wrong. So I can, whenever you're working basically with textures that are pixel art, you should always go for the nearest. And now it's really sharp and neat. Next to that, I can add a label, and I am going to say equals 10 points, so that we know how much points we get for that. And we will need to change some stuff about this, and that's gonna be the font size and the font. So let's go to Theme Overrides, Fonts, again, Quick Load. That's the easiest one. And then the font size is gonna be 30. and I'm gonna, okay, this looks good. Alignment center, center. Let's see, and for that we need to align in the center so it doesn't span across. Cool. And the same thing we are going to do for our next container. Also set this to middle and middle, and we need to change the texture. It's gonna be quick load Invader 2-1. Okay, I believe this should be having different custom menu size because it's a little bit wider. Oh no, it's wider, not higher. So this is like 80, and the points for that's gonna be 20, I believe. So let's change that. The same goes for the third type of invader. So again, go to the container and align middle, middle. And here we have different texture, which is going to be Invader 1, right? And we have to change the custom menu size to be 6060 again, and set the amount of points to 40. And you can see that all of our containers and textures are really cramped up. So let's go to VBox container, and we're searching for spacing, separation. Cool. And let's give them like 16 points of separation, so we have a little room to breathe here. Okay, cool. Then the last piece that we might want is the button. So let's add the button here, and this isn't going to be correct. Yes, and I cannot move this. So basically what we could do is add another HBox container and move them as a children of that. Oh no, this is HBox, and I want V box. Cool. So we have let's see what I do. I want vertical, of course. Sorry. So now we can move these as children, and we can see this at the bottom. So let's add the separation here, set this to 32, and now let's start working on our button. So I'm gonna say play Space Invaders. Cool. What do we need? We need things. So first things first, we're gonna change the font, obviously. Set this to Andina. Font size, we can bump it up to, let's say, 20 or maybe even 40. Cool. This looks good. Let me think what else. We can add this to the center so it doesn't take much space. And yeah, if we play the scene, that's how it looks like. I feel that this is a little bit cramped still. So what I'm going to do first is go to separation and set this to 38. And then in the end, I'm going to add vertical box container. And I'm going to put both of these here. Okay, and then place it in the middle. You can hold Control to help yourself and get those alignments that you see, like this red line is gonna pop up if you hold Control. And actually, to make this more visible, where is it? Okay, now you can see my cursor better. Great. I forgot to turn this on. Okay, so if I run this now, here you have the run project, and as we created the scene, I did not set this start screen scene to be the main scene. This is because we'll spend most of our time working on the game scene, so you have to go to play current scene, which is like F6 shortcut to play the scene you're currently working on. Okay, and this looks good, or at least good enough, but there's one slight change I would like to do, and we have to start coding to do this, is to make it, well, functional and better. So there will be two things that we have to do. Let's start by making our button work, because right now you can press it and nothing's really happened, right? And you can make the button look nicer, like center the text, maybe get rid of the outline and the highlight. It's really up to you. So let's get this party started. First, let's make our button work. So I'm gonna create new scene. I'm gonna let me check. I'm gonna make it just a node, right? And I'm gonna save this, and then I'm gonna create a folder called scenes. I'm gonna call this main, right? So this is gonna be our entry to the game. And then on a button press, I would like to load that node. So I can find the button, and I can go to node, and I can find the correct signal that's gonna help me with that, right? And we're searching for pressed. So we have press here. You can right click and choose connect. And I have this script here, and I can generate a function on button pressed. And you can name it a little bit better, like maybe actually we should. So disconnect. Can I edit this? Yes, I can, and I can change this to load game. Cool. And here I can just say get3 change scene to file main, and that should load our new empty scene. Cool. So you can see that the scene is actually switching. Okay, this is good. What I would like also to do, I believe that in original name the menu has this kind of, let's say, animation, but what is happening is this is not visible at the very start, but it just pops up like information after information with a slight delay. So let's add child node, and let's create a timer, and I'm gonna set it to 0.75 seconds auto start. And what I'm going to do, basically what we have to do is we have to get the reference to all of our elements that we'd like to show, right? So what I can do is I can rename them properly. So that's going to be Invader 1 texture, Invader 1 label, Invader 2 texture, Let's keep the naming consistent here. Invader to label, Invader free texture, Invader free label. Cool, and what I can do is just control click all of them and bring them here. And as you can see, oops, I'm getting the paths, so I should drag and hold control. And as you can see, I'm getting the reference for them already with this very, very long path to them, right? Looking from our root. So this is cool, but what I can do is right click on all of them and say access as unique name. And you will see the percent sign next to this, right? And now if I drag and hold control and let go, these are now being referenced by their unique name, which makes them which makes the path really, really short. Yeah, this is what I wanted. So in the first place, I would like them to be all hidden, right? And I would like to show them with code, but let me show you what happens. You can see that now the Space Invaders moves up, right? Because if this is hidden, then the Godot basically says, well, it's not in a tree, it's hidden, so we have this additional space so I can move everything up. And I don't want this. I would like my space button to be below as it was, and here to have some empty place, because let me show you something. I could change the visibility, right? And to do this, I will just push everything into array. Well, this is not a node, actually. This is control because it's UI, right? And I know this because let's try and change type. If I take a look, well, this is obviously a node, right? But you can see that one level above, there's a control. So I know that the label is inheriting from the control and then from canvas item and from a node. So I'm gonna just say that, well, we're using controls here, we're using UI elements. Cool. So let's start working on this. And basically I have to add every single element to the array. So I can just say let's see, append array, and here I can create an array of elements, right? I can just say and we're doing this for a reason, believe me, but I'm missing something. Invader one label, Invader one texture, and they have to be added in a correct order for this to work. So let's do Invader one texture, Invader one label, Invader two texture, Invader two label, Invader three texture, Invader three label. Cool. So we have now that in an array, and now I can manipulate it and say for control in control array element let's say visi, and here I would like to change the visibility, but GScript cannot infer the proper type, so I'm gonna help him. Definitely every single element of that is a control because they all inherit from control, and I would like to say visible is equal to false. Okay, so I can just unclick those right now because we will change it on already. Control, not element. Cool. Then I would like to do something when my timer times out. So connect, and I'm gonna say show next control. Sounds like a good name. And here I'm going to just say var control is equal to control array pop front. So take the first element from an array, like on the index 0, remove it from an array, shift the whole array forward, and also allow me to work with that. Right, so pop front, if you call this, if your array had 6 elements and you will call pop front, it's going to return the element on first element from the index 0, and now your array has like 5 elements, right? So it's like cutting the front. Okay, mixed use of step and spaces, let's remove that. Now if control is not a null, meaning if we're not drawing from empty array, I'm gonna say control visible true, else oh, I need a reference to my timer. That's okay, let's just drag it out. Timer stop, timer 2, 3. Okay, so now my elements gonna be hidden at the very beginning, and one by one they will start showing up after 0.75 seconds each. So let's run this, and here you can see the problem, right? Our button is getting pushed down. So what I would like to do is have this space blank and not occupied by anything, and then make those elements pop, but the button should not change its vertical position. So I can achieve that by changing that to modulate and setting the modulate to color transparent, and here I'm not making them invisible. Well, actually I am, but by changing their color, but not by changing visibility and like shrinking the space that they occupy. And here, instead of making the control visible, I'm just gonna say that modulate is equal to color white. Let's see how that works now. And it doesn't. Let's see. Modulate. Okay. Way better than module. Let's try now. And you can see now it works properly. So yeah, this is basically our menu. Now it's the time to start working on our game. Okay, so with the let's say main menu or start screen out of the way, we can finally focus on building the game. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the main, and I'm gonna set as a main scene. So now whenever I play, it's gonna pop up first. And this is cool if you're just like switching the scenes that you're working currently, like different levels. This is very, very helpful. Let's take this and move here. Okay. So first thing that we are going to need is a player. So let's create a new scene. I'm going to choose area 2D, And let's save this. Let's maybe start by renaming this to player. Save in scenes as a player. And we are going to need at least two things for now to build our player. So let's search for a sprite 2D. And in an inspector, I'm going to choose the correct texture. So that's going to be player PNG. Let's see what we have to define here. Of course, if we take a look at this now, it's again blurry. So let's go to texture and change this to nearest. Perfect. Doing scale or something, not really. Yeah, I believe this is all for now. But we'll have to somehow collide with other elements in our game. So, and here you can see the warning sign. So we have to add the collision shape. So let's do this collision shape. And here I'm going to choose the shape to be rectangle, and let's just make it stick to the bottom of our game as much as it is possible. Move that a little bit, and here we have that perfect alignment. You can make it go like higher, right, or lower. I'm gonna say maybe here. This is going to be fine. Okay, you know, it's time to script because we have to make our player move. So first thing we're going to need is the definition of the speed, and I'm going to choose, I think, the proper value here, but we're exporting this. Remember, you can always adjust those values as needed. Next thing is the movement direction, and I'm gonna set this to 0. You could also work with just 0 because we're moving just in horizontal axis, but vector to 0 is fine. And we're going to need the reference to our collision object for now. So collision rect, it's a oh, we need to say that this is a variable. Collision shape 2D, this is collision shape 2D. Cool. Okay, basically we have to somehow process the input of our player. So let's go to project settings, input map, and we will work with some inputs. So let's say move left, let's add move right, let's add shoot. Basically the only three actions that you can do in Space Invaders. And let's add some mapping. So A is left, D is right, space is shooting. Cool. Okay, so let's go to process and start working on our movement. Let's read the input first, and you could also do this in function input, right? But I believe this is fine for now. Input, get axis, move left. This is the negative action, and positive action is move right. Cool. Let's now, this is good. Yes, this is good. If input is greater than 0, direction gonna be vector to right. Else, if input is less than 0, then direction is going to be vector to left. Else, if there's no key bind press. Let's reset the movement to 0. Okay, then we have to decide how much our player moved in that frame. So delta movement is going to be speed times delta times direction x. And then we can just say position x is equal to delta is equal to plus equals delta movement. And basically that's the code we need to make our player move. Oh, and he's not going to move because we have to instantiate child scene, another player. So here it is. We will, yeah, we can leave him here for now. So let's see. Oh, you can see it here because we place it in the position of 0, 0. And by default, Godot, he's treating the 0, 0 position as a top left corner, which is fine. And this is correct, but I tend to, for some games, treat 0, 0 as a middle. So to solve that, we just need to add camera to D to move what portion of the screen is being rendered. Let me see. This is correct, and then we can place our player, I believe, in transform. Let's make it 302, and let's also change the scale to 4. Okay, let's see this now. Okay, he's now at the very bottom thanks to the camera, and we can move it left to right. The only problem that I have with this is that it's easy to go out of screen bounds, right? And maybe we can prevent that because that's not really what I wanted. So let's go to player and let's finish our coding. So basically what we have to know are the bounds of the camera, right? And the bounds of our player, and then compare those two. So basically, let's get rid of that. I can get rid of that comment. And then I'm gonna say we are going to need the information about bounding size X of our player. And we're gonna assign it already. So bounding size X is equal to collision rect. So this is the collision shape of our player. Get the shape, get the rect, get the size, get the X. And basically what we're going to get is the half of the width of our collision shape, right? Let's get to the script. Then I also need the information about the screen. So rect is get viewport, get viewport, get visible rect, and then I need information about camera. So get viewport, get camera 2D. I need to know the camera position, and this is rather easy because this is camera position. So now what I would like to know is the location of the starting bounds of our screen. So basically I need to know this position and this position, right? And I can get this by getting the camera position and adjusting for visible rectangle of the viewport. So I'm gonna create two new variables here. Start bound and bound. And start bound is of course current camera position X minus rectangle rect size X divided by 2, and the end bound is camera position X, and you guessed that, plus rect size X divided by 2. So I basically know where does the area of my game starts and ends, and I can use that. So here I can prevent the movement by checking if position X lose delta movement. So what would happen if I would apply that movement? Is this lower than our bounding size times transform form scale get scale X, right? So and return. So if I apply the next movement that I wish to apply, would I be going off the screen, right? And the same, I have to check for the other end. So, and maybe let's bump it up a little bit. Can I drop it? I hope I can. Expected expression. Let's see whether I can drop it. Delta movement and bound minus bounding size X times transform get scale X. And okay, I cannot drop it. But if I do this, okay, yeah, that's fine. Now I can drop this too. And I forgot, somebody asked me in the last episode to bump up the font size when I'm coding. So my dear homie, this is for you. Okay, so basically, let's say you can press Ctrl K to create a comment. So let's add one because this looks complicated. Are we going out of screen bounds? If so, return and block the movement. Otherwise, just let the player move. And let's go to the very end. And this is almost correct. Seems like I've forgotten something. I can live with that, but let's see if there's something missing. See, this collision shape transform. Yeah, it's transformed, but only on Y. So this shouldn't really matter, right? The size. No, this is correct, I think. Well, okay, this is like good enough for me. And I still wonder why does it not go all the way, because it should stop here. So let's check our equation again. Position X, this is greater minus bounding size X, transform get scale X, start bound plus. No, this looks correct. How about here? Yeah, this also looks correct. Okay, cool. Well, I hope that you can forgive me this one little simple thing. This is basically the movement of our player. Now, the other thing that our player can do is, of course, shooting, right? So let's see whether we can do this. What we basically need is some kind of projectile that our player can shoot. All right. So we'll need to create something like a laser or something. So let's create that. A new scene. I'm gonna make area 2D. It's also going to have a sprite. Let's check here. The sprite is, of course, I believe I named it laser. Cool. Let's rename that to laser and save. And we need collision shape. I believe, let's see, collision shape. As you can imagine, rectangle is going to be fine. I'm gonna change the transform to say 2. Okay, because then probably I will be able to adjust that properly. Yeah, great. All we need is a tiny bit of script to make it move. So let's create that. There's nothing impressive really here. I'm just gonna say class name. It's gonna help us a little bit. Get rid of all of this. Export. I'm gonna set the speed here to 300 and process, and we're gonna just make it move up. Delta times speed. Cool. Then let's get back to our player, and here I'm gonna create a node to D. Oops. At child node, set this to node to D, and I'm gonna place it at the very top because this is where our laser is gonna come out of. So this is like our shot origin. Cool. And let's make our player shoot. So that's going to be how do you call this? Shooting? Shooting. Sounds reasonable enough. So we will need the reference to our wonderful laser. So let's export var laser scene is a packed scene. Okay, and we should be already able to assign that. So let's quick load and choose a laser. And we just need to instantiate it basically every single time that player presses space. So let's get input function. Let's say if input is, and I'm going to show you something. If we go with is action pressed and instantiate that, we can cast it to laser already because we have the class name. We're gonna say set the global position equal to get parent global position, and I'm gonna add a little bit of offset, vector 2. Okay, and we need to add this to our tree. We're gonna place it into our main get tree root get node main add child laser. Okay. Let's see what will happen now. I can create a laser. So we have the basic, but as I'm pressing space, you can see that I can now spawn like constant amount of lasers. So this is not what I wanted. I would like it to be pressed once and spawn a single laser particle, laser beam. So is action just pressed. And now if I press and hold, it's gonna only spawn one. The problem is that I can spawn multiple by pressing very quickly on the space, right? So that's not the way to go. We basically would like to have only single laser beam on screen, and only when the laser is destroyed or exits the window should we be allowed to create another one. So in our main, I'm gonna add child node area 2D. Let's get this here. I'm gonna call this bullet cutter. Well, technically it's a laser, but bullet cutter, the name is okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to child collision shape 2D, right, a new rectangle. Okay, and let's adjust this so that it spans across the whole screen. The height doesn't matter really, it's going to be as flat as possible. And let's place it at the very top. It just has to go from the start of our viewport to the end. And let's actually make it into a scene so that we can keep our tree really clean. So scene, bullet cutter. Let's open this up. And let's add a simple script here. Okay, let's code this bad boy, and there's not a lot actually to code. So let's get rid of that. And basically we need to listen to a signal which is called area entered. So let's connect to that. And I can check if area is laser, and if it is, I can just call area QE3. And there's make spaces, no more. Okay, there are actually two ways to do it, because I can check if area is a laser, and that's fine because we have this class name here. But the other way to do is to go to collision, and here you have the layers and masks. And basically this is the information about on which layer this exists and with what it can collide. And this is just, this has really no real representation, so it does not need to exist on a layer, but it should listen only to a laser. And to do that, we have to set up all of our layers. So if you go to general settings and search for 2D physics, I believe this is 2D physics, we can set up all of our layer that we need for our game. So there's going to be a player, laser, there's going to be invader, there's going to be invader projectile, there's going to be bunker, and I think I also need something called wall. Do I need this? I'm not sure. Okay, cool. And with that, I can now say that you, my friend, are only listening for collision with laser, and there's no need to check the class name anymore. So there are two ways to go about this. Cool. We have that, and I can just simply add the information about the area here, and let's see whether this works. So not really, and this is due to the fact that our laser itself also has to be a laser. Okay, let's try this now. Yeah, now you can see this information is popping up. So how to allow our player to shoot more than once? Basically what we will do, and it's very simple, we're gonna take our laser here, and whenever we QE something to free, there's gonna be a signal emitted whenever it's leaving the tree. So let's connect to that, and let's say on laser destroyed, and that's gonna be also useful whenever we're hitting enemies. So on laser destroyed, and I'm gonna add a simple flag here. Can player shoot? And at the very start, yes, you can, my friend. But then after we perform first shot, or any shot, we'll set this to false, and only re-enable it whenever the previous laser gets destroyed. So let's try this now, and I can shoot. Oh, I can shoot all the time. Oh, we have to add the check for that. Can player shoot? So it's now there's no other spawn, even though if you can hear it. I'm trying to press space, but only whenever I'm actually hitting the bullet cutter and my perfect shot is getting removed. Also, we need this because let me go to main and let me disable the bullet cutter for now. Let's start the game and let's go to the remote to observe our game and see what happens to the tree. Is it working even though it's... Okay, well, okay, let's do this. Let's grab this, stop this, and let's grab this. Where is it? Oh, it's not visible. Okay. Let's grab this and let's move this out. Right, and let's go to remote right now. And as you can see, the laser left the screen, but it is still in our tree, meaning it's still in our memory. And this is really bad, especially when you're spawning a lot of projectiles or items. You always have to remember to properly clean up your tree, to not make it bloat, because it's going to impact the performance of your game. Cool, but we have that issue solved. So I believe the next thing to do, actually, I don't really feel so good about it, because I'm gonna take the transform, put this to 0, 0, and then I'm actually going to go here and move the bullet catcher as a scene, because we were moving the wrong thing. Like, you can see that the origin was staying here and the shape was here. Cool. Okay, next thing is to actually make our enemies, because we have them in the assets. You have everything that we need right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create new scene. So let's say add child node. I'm going to find node 2D and paste it as a child of the main. Then I'm going to make this Invader spawner. Okay, and I'm gonna actually save branch as a scene. Cool. So let's find a place to put this. In my case, I believe I found out that -190 works good, and the position should be 0. So this is the node that's gonna control spawning of our wonderful invaders. And from what you can remember from the starting screen and from what we have in the assets, we have 3 of those. Okay, they're similar but kind of different. So let's open this up and let's start working on it. We're gonna need few things, definitely some coding. So let's add a script, add the class name first, Invader spawner. Okay, so I would like to have definition of how many rows and columns do we have. And this is, in my case, again, you can adjust it and change this. And I'm making them const. I could also make them export variables. It's all fine. Both options are good. Then we need some information about, this is basically the spawner configuration. We need the information about horizontal spacing, which is 32, and then we need information about vertical spacing, which is also 32, again adjusted as wished. We also need to know the height of our invader, and I believe I set these to be 24 pixels. Then what we need is start Y, position, which is -50, and then we need the information about how we should how much we should move in X and Y axis, like every single time we would like to move the swarm of the invaders. So invaders position X increment times 10 const invader position Y increment Okay. What else would I need? The starting movement direction. So we're gonna move to the right first, and here I'm going to use just the int instead of vector because we're mainly gonna be working with one axis at the time. What else? Oh, we're gonna need the invader scene. So let's create new scene because we'd like to spawn stuff. And let's create invader scene. And a single invader is gonna be, we will make the root area 2D because we need to figure out the collisions. So let's name it invader. Yep, invader. And let's add some stuff. And this is of course sprite 2D. And let's save this as an invader. Yeah, taking a look at that, I'm just gonna add the texture, quick load, invader 1. Okay, blurry, you know what to do, change the filter to be nearest for the pixels. And then we also need a collision shape for that. So add child node, collision shape, and I'm gonna use the circle. So let's adjust the radius here. Cool. Do we need anything else? I'm also going to be changing the scale. So let's go to transform. Scale also is going to be 4, just to make it a little bit bigger. The collision though, it should exist on invader layer, and it should collide with laser, and it should collide with, let's see, with a wall. Oh yeah, we're gonna need these. So we're gonna add another layer, add wall layer, and you will see why shortly. Okay, cool. We have some scripting to do, but yeah, well, here's the thing, and this is actually pretty cool what we're going to do. If you take a look at our invaders, they're pretty similar, but kind of different. I mean, each and single invader can be shot with a with a laser, but it differs when it comes to stuff like texture, the animation, the number of points, and probably the width, right, the size of it. So instead of creating some strange ifs or many parameters, I can create external configuration for my invader that will have properties describing how my invader should look like, how many points it has, and so forth and so on. And this kind of external configuration is actually called resource, and I know that Unity has something similar. I just don't remember what that was named, but you can basically externally store some data and then apply it to your scene. So I'm going to create a new folder and call this resources, and I believe this is correct. And here I'm going to create new script, and I'm going to call this Invader config, right? Cool. And here I'm going to change this a little bit. So I'm going to say that this extends resource. The class name is Invader resource, and it has few properties. So sprite 1, which is texture 2D. The second sprite, we need those for animations. At least that's, yeah, we need those for animations, texture, 3D, or maybe we don't actually, we'll see. With animation name. Oh, because I was trying to make the animations dynamic, but it didn't work. Let's just, I believe we only need one sprite. Animations, and we need to have the points. And with this, what we can do is we actually can create new resources. So let's create new resource, and I believe the simple resource is fine. And let's call this Invader 1. You will see quickly how this helps. So I can drop the script here, and now I can just adjust those property, right? And this is really cool. So I can just quick load a texture here. I can set its width to be 8, set the animation to move 1, and set the points. I don't remember how many points this was. Let's check. 10, so that's gonna be 40 points. Right, cool. It's gonna be 40 points. Cool. So now I have the informations about my invader stored externally in a resource. I can just duplicate that and duplicate this again and store all informations about my invaders. So this is quick load invader 2.1, width is 11, 2, amount of points, that was 20, and then here quick load Invader 3.1, the width is what was the width? 12, move 3, and 10. Okay, and this is all stored externally. So now what I can do is go back to my do I need some code here? Let's see. Not really, not yet, at least, but we'll have to add something soon. Cool, so let's go to Invader Spawner, and let's actually load all of our resources. So I can just say Invader 1 resource is preload Invader 1, and then I can just copy paste these and change the 1 to 2 and 1 to 3. Okay, so what I have now is all of my wonderful resources loaded, and then I need to spawn these. So let's get the invader scene, and I can also preload that. Let's search for invader scene. Cool. And now it's time to do the spawning. So we have to iterate over rows and columns and decide which invader to spawn. And this is gonna be rather simple. So I'm gonna say for row in rows, we have to check in what row we're in and then decide what the config should be. So I'm gonna just declare the config once here on top, and here check for the rows. If row is equal to 0, I'm gonna say that invader config is equal to invader 1. Else, if invader row is equal to 1 or row is equal to 2, I'm going to say that invader config is equal to invader 2. And finally, else if row is equal to 3 or row is equal to 4. And this has to be adjusted if you have different set of rows. Yeah, the invader config is equal to invader 3. Okay, now we have to actually spawn our invaders in correct rows and columns. So we have to know the width of our row, and this is equal to row. So row width is equal to columns times invader config width, and that's why we needed that value, times 3 plus columns minus 1 times horizontal spacing. So we have to take the horizontal spacing into account, right? And then we have to find this the position of the first column. So start x is equal to position x minus row width divided by 2. Cool. And then finally for our columns, we have to determine the spawn position for our invader. Yeah, x and y. So var x is start x position times plus column times invader invader config width times 3 plus column times horizontal spacing. Yes. And var y is equal to start y position. So basically how far from the edge of our swarm we are, plus row times invader height plus row times vertical spacing, and var spawn position is equal to vector x and y. Cool. And then I'm gonna just create new function called spawn invader with invader config and spawn position. So let's create that. So this is invader config, and the spawn position has to be vector 2. Okay, so we have a few things to do here. So Invader is Invader. Oh, do we have the reference to Invader scene? Oh, okay. Let's read this out. Correct. Invader scene. Instantiate. As do we have a script there? Not yet. But basically, we should add a simple script here. Yeah. So let's add Invader script. And let's create a class name here. It's Invader, of course. And I'm gonna say config is a resource. Get the reference to sprite. Oops. And I'm gonna say sprite 2D texture is equal to config sprite. And I know that this exists. So going back to our Invader spawner, I can say, let's set the config for you. Oops. Invader config. How is it named? Just config. Okay, cool. As Invader is equal to Invader config. So now we have that set up. Invader global position is equal to spawn position child Invader. Okay, let's see whether this works. Yeah, we have our invaders here on our screen. This is really cool. So let's check our main. This is correct. Yeah, so now we can spawn our invaders. Okay, so we have the invaders spawned. Next step is to make them move. And what I was trying to do is to create the animation programmatically by using the configuration, but I really bumped into some issues that I couldn't solve, so I figured out the other way. So let's go to our invader and let's add animation player. Okay, and we will create some animations here. So let's go to animation, new animation, for this move one. And this is very simple. We're gonna add the track, property track, sprite 2D, texture. Okay, and we're gonna go here. We're gonna create the key by clicking on that key here. Then we're gonna move to 0.5 and we're gonna create another key, and you can see these are now linked with this line, meaning that the properties are really the same. So this is indication for us to go here, choose quick load and choose Invader 1 2. Now they are unlinked, and we also want that to be repeating. And if I go to 2D and play this, you can see that very simple animation playing. Wonderful. Next step is to go to animation, create new. I'm going to call this move 2 and make sure that the naming is matching what we have in our invader configuration. So move 2 add track is going to be pretty much the same. Let's go here. Change that to be, let's add the key first here and here, and we can go and select, or rather quick load Invader 2. You can see the value here, and then here quick load Invader 2 2, and if I set this to repeating and play this, you can see another animation. And let's create the third one for the third type of invader. Move 3, attract, property, sprite, texture. Select this again, create a key. Did I click it? Yes, create a key. Go to 0.5, create a key, and change it to. So basically we're creating all the animations for the invaders, and let's set this to Invader 3 2. Cool, we have that. And then there's the last one, the quick animation that we're gonna play when animator is destroyed. We could set up that animation when we're working on the destruction of the invader, but since you're here already, let's do this. So I'm going to just name it destroy. And again, add property. This is sprite 2D texture. I'm going to make it really small or short. And let's go again to sprite 2D, add a key. Then the next key should be in, I believe, 0.1. So let's move to 0.1, add another key. Let's set the values here to Invader Explosion 1. Invader Explosion 2. Cool, and now we don't need that to repeat. If we play it, you can see it's very fast animation. Perfect. Going back to our invader, what we need is the reference to the animation player. So drag, hold Control, let go, and we have that. And on ready, I'm gonna say animation player play config animation name, and that basically should make them animate. Oh, I can see that the one row of our wonderful invaders is wrong, so there are some problems with the animations. So let's go to move 3. They all should be repeating, so let's check that. Repeating. Let's check the values. This is correct, so let's check the configuration. Let's move 2. Wait, something's. This should be move 1. And yeah, that should be move 2. And that should be move 3, right? I'm messing something up. Invader 1 loads Invader 1. And that should be move 1. I messed something up. That should be like, let's change the name here, because this should be Invader 2. That should be Invader 1. Let's try this again. Okay, and the first row. So is this the issue with animation? Animation 1. Animation 2. Animation number 3. All seem to be correct. So what I am doing wrong here? Because the last row should be different. This is 1, 2. Oh, the animation name should be different, of course. This is animation and this is different animation. Cool. Let me fix that. Okay, and you probably found it already. In Invader spawner, I made a typo, and it should be, of course, 1 assignment. Okay, now we have proper animation. Cool. So now next step is to make our wonderful invaders move. The problem is gonna be is I would like them to move right, and then when they hit the edge of the screen, they should go down a little bit and start moving left. So basically what we need is to somehow detect when they're hitting the edge of the screen. And to do that, I'm going to go to main. I'm going to a child node, and it's going to be of type node. I'm going to call this walls. And I'm going to add 3 walls, basically. So that's going to be area 2D. Let's see this. And it's going to have a collision shape 2D, which is going to be a rectangle. Cool, and I'm gonna call this right wall. And let's place this correctly. So transform, hold Control, place it like here, make it span all over. The thickness again, well, may matter a little bit, but not really. Okay, but then let's duplicate this, bring this to left wall and push it to the other side. You can check the transform to make sure that they're at the same place. So this is 575 in my case. Now I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to say bottom wall. Okay, and what I am going to do is I'm going to rotate this. Rotate this 90 degrees. Set this to 0, 0, because remember there's an area at the bottom that when it gets entered by the swarm, basically it means that you lost the game, right? So oh, and they're referencing the same shape, so let's get rid of that reference. And we need to add new collision shape 2D so that it's different than the two previous ones. Now we can scale this independently, so it's not referencing each other. So I'm gonna say maybe like this. And we're gonna use them. Okay, cool. Yeah, for now we're gonna use only the left and right wall. So let's position them like this. And we're going to use the signals. So let me think about this. We need to check the collision. So layer which just exists is a wall, and it should listen to collision with Invader. Okay, the same goes here. It is a wall, and we'd like to get information about collision with Invader. Cool. Now let's set up the method, the signals, and the functions here. So let's say on left wall area entered. Cool. It's gonna get generated here. Same here. Oh, not in a player. We added this to a player. No, sir. Let's disconnect that. We want to create that method in Invader spawner. On left wall area entered. Cool. And here also in the Invader spawner on right wall area entered. Perfect. We can start coding away our movement. So let's go to Invader spawner, and we're gonna need a timer to know when to move our swarm. So I'm gonna name this movement timer, and I'm gonna get a reference to that, but maybe first the configuration. So it's gonna be auto start and 0.25, but again you can adjust this as needed. Let's do pass right here, and basically what we're going to need is the reference to that, or yeah, we're gonna need the reference to that. So let me think. Let's say node references. Cool. I wonder whether you could do region. It doesn't matter, right? I don't think for that editor you can do it, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay. Oops. Cool. We have movement. Oh yes, this is spelled incorrectly. Let's do this again. Cool. So now on ready, let's set up timers. There will be 2 of them. Movement timer, timeout, connect, and I'm gonna say that this connects to function called move invaders, because we're not gonna move the invaders individually, but rather we know that they're all grouped as a children of invader spawner, so we can just move the whole spawner. So this is gonna be rather simple. I'm gonna say move invaders position x plus equals invader position x increment times movement direction. and you can see them moving. But of course, they're gonna go outside of the screen bounce, so we have to bounce them back. So let's see, on the left wall, if movement direction is equal to -1, then adjust the position Y plus equals Invader Y increment, and move direction, just flip it. And for the right, it's gonna be pretty much the same, right? But we just change this. Cool. And this is repeated code, right? And this could be written a little bit better with the signal arguments, but for now, I believe this is good. So let's see whether where they will bump back into the other direction. Yes, perfect. Now they will go to the bottom of the screen. Cool. The next step. Next step is probably going to be our player being able to destroy the invader. So let's see. Do we have the collision configured? Yes. And there are two possibilities, laser and the wall, right? So I'm gonna go to a node and say area entered. And yeah, on area entered, let's get rid of that. We can basically check the area. So if area is laser, and we have to check it because we can listen to here we have the collision configured for 2 masks, so we have to make sure that this is the laser. We can say animation player play destroy and area QE3. Okay, so let's try this now. Okay, cool. The problem is, as you can see, after animation is being played, the whole node stays in a tree. So we have to be smart about this and say, yeah, and if I were to, first thing you might think you should do is just call QE3, right? But watch what happens. There's no animation, right? Because I'm telling animation player to play it, but then I'm freeing this node, so this gets destroyed, leaving no time for the animation to play. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna go to animation player to a node, and there's this signal animation finished. And here I'm getting animation name as a parameter, and I can say if anim name is equal to destroy, only then say QE3. Okay, and now it's gonna out the animation to play, and when it's finished, it's gonna release that node from the tree. Nice. Okay, cool. So we have that done. I'm wondering about the next step. I think that the next step is going to be letting our invaders shoot back. So let's add another timer here. Timer, and we are going to name this shot timer. And again, we need a reference to the, here. Excuse me, sir. Okay. And also we're going to say shot timer, timeout, connect, and let's say on Invader shot. And let's create that function. And make it pass for now. So basically what we need is a scene representing the projectile of the invader. So I'm gonna create new scene, new scene, and that's gonna be another area 2D. I'm gonna call this Invader shot. Let's save this in our scenes. Cool. We're gonna need sprite. And let's find the texture. This is called shot, or how is it called? Rocket. Okay, cool. Let's go to 2D and let's start working on it. So I'm gonna bump the scale. This is the first thing I'm going to do. To 3. Cool. Now, okay, it's blurry, so let's change that to the nearest. Then we need collision shape, and I'm gonna make it simple. So collision shape 2D. I'm thinking, oh, rectangle is okay. Put that here. It doesn't have to be perfect, but this is fine for now. Okay, and we need to do just a little bit of coding. So Invader shot, this is fine. We all need process. Get rid of that. Okay, and it's pretty much the same. So export var speed 200, position Y, you're moving forward, so plus equals speed times delta. That was easy. Yeah, other things that we need to place it in the proper layer, right? So this should be Invader projectile, and it should listen for a collision with a player. That is correct. Okay, cool. You can go to Invader spawner and go to Invader on Invader shot. So basically, we should find a random invader and then spawn the shot from there, I believe. So let's check the invade. Let's set the shot timer to auto start. Okay, and then moving on, let's find the random child position. So we can get children, and basically, as you can see, some of the children are timers and other will be the invaders, right? Because if you're adding the child, it's gonna add to that tree. So we have to filter out the nodes that are not invaders. So function child return child is invader, and then we can map this new array returned by a filter invader return invader global position and then pick random. Okay, and you might be wondering about that piece of code. So what we are doing here is we're getting the children and it's gonna return an array of children, and you can do mappings on an array in Godot. One cool thing is filtering. So given that predicate, it's gonna return a new array. So from that initial array, exclude the timers because we only want the children that are invaders. And then you can map array, meaning transform one array into another. So basically we get every single node that is invader and returning it its global position. So here we have an array of vector 2 representing the global positions of our three children. And from that, I'm going to just pick a random position. Cool. So then we're going to say invader shot, and we will need a reference here to invader shot scene. And we could make an export, but you can always load this directly. So preload, and let's search for shot. Cool. I'm gonna say we should instantiate this. So invader shot scene instantiate as invader. Oh, we need a class name. Invader shot, and I like adding this just to make everything clearer. What do you want from me? In class body. Okay, so this has to be above. Invader shot, cool. And then I can just say invader shot global position is equal to random child position, get 3 root at child invader shot. And let's see whether my invaders can now start shooting. They cannot because vector 2 and position Y. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, they're shooting at me. And there's gonna be one problem. As you can see, these are the same we had with the shot of our pair. We are spawning the invader shots and we're not removing them. So let's fix that real quick. Let's go to our invader shot, and here I'm gonna, well, what I could do is just go to main, right, and set another bullet catcher like here. But there's another way. There are different ways to approach problems when programming and making games or software altogether. I'm gonna go to invader shot. I'm gonna find a node called visible on screen notifier. Okay, and I will adjust the rectangle of this. So the values for that are I have a perfect scale for that, I think. So let's change this. Can I change the... No, as you can see, this just moves the rectangle, right? But I can change the width and height. Probably to be something like 5 and 10. And maybe move this to 0 to 0.5. Oops. Minus 2.5 there's gonna be a little playing with that involved. 0 to 5, no, -5, and this is too big, so let's change the width to 3, then -1 point. Okay, this is better. The height should be probably then 6, and that should be -3. Okay, good. We have that set up properly, and I'm just gonna need a signal that this is leaving the screen, and I'm just gonna call free. And now my shots, if you go to remote, should disappear, right? So yeah, they disappear because you can see the number changing here. Cool, we have that. Okay, so next thing to set up is letting our player actually be destroyed. So let's go to player, and we're gonna need the animation player here. Okay, and we're going to need new animation, and I'm gonna call this destroy. Cool. And this is going to be pretty similar to what we had in the Invader. Let's set this to 2.25. The track that we're animating is sprite, texture, and let's start inserting keys. So we're gonna set the keys every set this to 0, sorry, every 0.25. So insert key 25, insert key 0.5. Oh no, that should be in the, okay, it is in 0.5. Insert key and another key or basically, okay, so now it can be played. So the last key is in 2 seconds. Now it's time to adjust the values. So let's go to quick load and find this, like explosion 1, then we have explosion 2 and explosion 3, and we're gonna repeat that. So quick load, oops, explosion 2, explosion 3, and basically this should be 0.25. I could grab those keys and copy them and move them around. This is 0.75 now, and repeat. So we'd like the animation to play for 3 times. We could also control the loop via code. That also would be fine. 2 1 2 3 1 2. Quick load 3, and the last time explosion 1 and explosion 2, and this should be 1.75. Oh, there's something wrong with that value. 1.25, and that should be 0.75. Okay, so they are evenly spread now. 1, 2, and this should be explosion 3. Cool. So we have that animation. We do have that 2 times. I have no idea. Cool. So let's get reference to that. So drag, hold Control, drop it down, and I'm gonna create a function here. I'm gonna call this on player destroyed. Okay, and I'm gonna just say destroyed. I'm just gonna say speed is equal to 0 because we don't want to move anymore, and animation player play destroy. Okay, and let's try and get destroyed here. Oh, and let's set this up correctly again. Now let's get destroyed. I've missed. Okay, it seems that we're just not taking this into account. So in our invader shot, we have to handle on area entered signal. Okay, and what can we collide with? Actually, oh, there will be few things that we can collide with. So let's see. Okay, we don't need to check. Area is definitely gonna be a player. There's no other way. And we need a classing here. Okay. Then we should be able to call on player area as, not is, because we're casting, not checking the type. And then QE3. Check this. Ooh. Non-existent. Why? Okay, let's add the check. That should be maybe we're going with something else actually. Okay, yeah, now we're getting destroyed. Cool. So this is being handled. This is going to be a long tutorial. Okay, next thing that I would like to add. So we have the invader spawner. What else? Oh, we also would like to have the UFO spawner, because you can see in the game that there's this UFO going from right to left. No worries, let's add this. So we're gonna need another node to D. Call this UFO spawner. Let's place this somewhere, maybe here. Okay, and let's go and get this. So I'm gonna save this as a scene. Open the scene. I'm gonna need a timer. And I'm going to call this spawn timer. Because what we're going to need is we will spawn UFO in a random span of time from maximum to minimum time. So let's add a script here. Call this spawn timer. And let's set it up. So let's get that class name, and we're gonna have two variables here: mean time, max time. So we're gonna get a random value from that range, and we're gonna spawn the UFO then. So this, I'm gonna just create a function called setup timer. Setup timer, and let's say random time is equal to rand integer from range, minimal time to max time, self wait time is equal to random time, and we have to call stop and start because we will be calling this few times, and you have, this is the way basically to restart the timer, right? And we need this, even though we could maybe optimize this a little bit. Well, no, this is fine. This is fine for now. So let's go to UFO spawner and add not a child node, but script UFO spawner. This looks good. We're going to need the reference spawn timer. So UFO, let's call this spawn timer and say setup. And I don't get this autocomplete, which makes me furious sometimes, but we can cast this because we know this is spawn timer. We can call setup timer, and then here we're going to go to a node, node timeout connect to, and that's going to be on spawn timer timeout, and this is in the correct place in UFO spawner. We're going to need the scene, so let's do the scene, fact scene, and let's create a UFO. UFO global position is equal to position, and let's add this get tree root add child UFO. Cool. So now, of course, we need the UFO scene. So let's create new scene. That's gonna be area 2D. Call this UFO. Save it. We're going to need a sprite. And let's find this UFO. Okay, cool. It already has the proper color. Let's see. Let's change the scale. Perfect texture. Nearest, you know this already. So that's it. What else do we need? It exists. Let's check the collision, right? So it should collide with the laser that our player is shooting. Then it should exist. Let's go to project settings, and this is gonna be UFO as a layer. Cool. Okay, what else do we need? We need collision shape, and I think like something like capsule is gonna be correct. So let's see. This is 2.25 and 16. Or so I believe. We have to rotate this 90 degrees. And it should work, but problem is that I set the scale on the wrong thing. So the scale should be on the parent here, so everything scales. Cool, this is good. What else do we need? We need two things: the ability to move. So again, UFO script, and that's gonna be very easy. Class name, add a speed, get the reference to sprite. Oops. It's gonna be UFO, obviously. Get the reference to sprite. Get the reference. Do we need something else? Well, we need many things. But now let's make it move for now. Position X minus, because we're moving from right to left, delta times speed. Yeah. Let's see if we can get some UFO. And okay. What is the problem here? Oh, the problem is that we're doing this like this. Maybe actually let's use preload UFO PSCN. Cool. Try this again. Okay, yeah, you can see it moving. Cool. There are of course few problems with that. We have to of course free the UFO from the screen, right? Once it's moved out of the screen boundaries. So visible on screen notifier, find the node, screen exited, connect. Just call QE3 here. This is rather simple. That's one thing. The other thing is that our beautiful UFO is not shooting yet. So let's add child node, node to D, call this shooting point. And let's position it properly. Like here should be good. And what do we need? We need a projectile. Right. And how can we do this? Okay, we can do this by adding spawn timer. Cool. So we have already that scripted. And I'm gonna set the minimal and maximal value here for 1 and 3. And yeah. Then I'm gonna add a script here. Call this UFO shooting. And I'm gonna grab the reference to that. And I'm gonna also get a projectile, and we're gonna use the same that we have for our invader shooting. So how is it called? Let's check the scenes. Invader shot. Okay, but we're gonna change it a little bit. Cool. So UFO shooting. Spawn timer. Setup. Now we have to cast this. Or do we? Let's say this is spawn timer. This is slight problem, but this is fine. As spawn timer, and now we can get the autocomplete. Setup timer. Spawn timer. Timeout. Connect. On. Spawn timer. Timeout. Cool. Let's handle that. So on, spawn, timer, timeout. Let's create a projectile. And this is actually a projectile scene. Projectile scene instantiate. And what I would like to do is actually change the color of the projectile to match the color of the UFO. So I'm gonna get the reference to projectile sprite, which is projectile, get node sprite to D, sprite to D. So I'm getting the reference to the projectile spawn to D. So this is, I'm getting reference to that, right? That's sprite to D. And then I can say projectile sprite modulate color. And I have the right numbers here for you. So this is 0.67, 0.2, 0.2 and 1. Projectile global position, because I know I don't want to cast this. I know that it exists. It's not really safe, but well, the GScript has still a long way to go with the typing system. Root at child projectile and spawn timer. I'm gonna set up timer again for it to run. Cool. And this is UFO shooting. So let's go to UFO. Let's see whether it shoots properly. This is the shot from the invader. Cool. And spawn my UFO. And is it shooting? Yes, it does. And if I'm getting hit, I am also getting destroyed by my wonderful UFO projectile. Cool. Okay, so we have the UFO. The question is, can the UFO be destroyed? Right? Not really, not yet. So let's work on that. So destroying the UFO. I'm going to need the reference to a shooting point, because whenever we shoot our UFO, we have to disable the shooting point. And I'm going to need the explosion texture. And this is UFO explosion PNG. Cool. So then we have to connect to a signal. Area entered. And if area is laser, then we need to call shooting point Q3. We set the speed to 0, so it will stop moving. We change the sprite texture to explosion texture. Sprite 2D. Okay. And that's another problem, because if I call Q3, right? Now let me try and shoot this. Oh yeah, perfect. You could see it gets released, but I don't see the explosion. So I would like this to be freed after some time. And I could create another timer here, or I could try and write await get 3. So how to create the timer in line? You can create timer, set it to 1.5 and call timeout. Basically, we can even write this a little better, because I can call this. Then I could do await timer timeout, and then I can call timer. Oh, I don't need to call the QE3. So this is even better. And create timer is gonna elapse, right? Commonly used to create one-shot timer, which is good. And here, the timer will be automatically freed after it elapses. Perfect. So I can wait 1.5 seconds and then call the QE3 on my UFO. Let's try this again. I hope I can shoot the UFO again. There are other better ways to test this. Let's test my reflexes. No. Okay, that's gonna be too late. I believe now. Almost. Damn it. Let's try now. I'm just bad at the game. Please. No. He's too fast. Okay. That did not seem to work, because it was released automatically. Let's go to main. Let's hide the invader spawner so it's not going to run. Let's go to UFO, change the speed to something like 10 so that we can test this. Oh, it's Oh, it's still there. Right. So I would have to go to main, visible. Can I disable it? Can I just remove it and then bring it back? Okay, let's remove it for now. Let's wait for the UFO. Okay, it's moving very slow, which is perfect for me. And I still can't shoot it. Oh my god. Okay, it goes through it. Okay, let's see why that might be. Laser. It is a laser. And it should collide with UFO. Bunker. Invader. Okay, cool. Let's try this now. So that's my first thought, that it's not being set up properly. What about our UFO? Collision. Laser. That is correct. So let's see what happens here. Come on, spawn. Does it even collide? It doesn't, because oh, it seems that this is not connected. Okay, I might have made a mistake there. Connect area to on area entered. Okay, let's try this again. Spawn, please. Okay. Okay, it does disappear. And we have to await the timeout here, of course. So now it should work. Yes, perfect. Cool, we can bring it back. So here. We need to instantiate the Invader spawner again. Not a problem. Let's see, does it have any references? No. The position for the Invader spawner is important though. So this is minus 190. Okay, cool. Everything still seemed to work. So we have that. Next step. Basically, the game is coming together very nicely. What we have to do still is to add the bunker, because that's a fun and important functionality, and then build the UI. So yeah, I'm gonna make myself more coffee and then I'm gonna talk about that. So moving to the bunkers functionality. This is going to be a little complicated because, as you can see in the original game, the bunkers are like slowly crumbling and breaking apart as they're getting shot. So yeah, it takes a little bit of figuring out, and I'm not going to make it exactly as in game because it would be too complicated. But I think that I figure out the right, let's say, right enough way to do it for it to make sense in our game. So let's create new scene, 2D scene, and I'm gonna call this bunker. Oh, sorry, I have to set up the microphone. Way better. Okay. Bunker. And I'm gonna add another node to D and call this bunker right. And let's save this as a bunker. And then basically what we need are four, let me see, we need 4 areas. Okay, so let's move to, we are into deep, let's change that. I'm gonna move this to be 4 and 0.25, I think. Okay, and let's start adding stuff. So we need area to deep, and I'm gonna call this top left. Another one, call this top, top right. Another one, area to deep, bottom left. And area to the bottom right. So basically, we will split our bunker in 8 separate areas that each can be damaged individually, and each will display a different sprite while getting hit. And then after 3 or 4 shots, it will just disappear. Let's see. Okay, so for top left, we have to add the sprite. So this is going to be a sprite 2D, and call this sprite top left. Okay, and all of these, I believe, they will have a different position. Cool. So sprite top left. Let's go to our assets, search for bunker, and we have sprite top left 1 PNG. Drag it, texture set to nearest. Cool. Then let's go to top right, add the sprite to D, set this to top right, but of course there's an offset, and the offset is 8 and 1, and set this to nearest. Then we have bottom left, which has, you guessed this, sprite 2D, and it's the bottom left. Okay, drop it, set the texture to filter as nearest, and of course there's an offset. This is bottom left, so the offset's gonna be 2.25 and 7.5. And then for bottom right, add another sprite, bottom right. Go to the texture, set to nearest, and it also has an offset. Oh, this is the wrong place to place the offset. It should be here at the top. That was 2.25, 7.5. And then here, we also need an offset, bottom right. And this is 8 and 8. 8 and 8. Okay, cool. So this is like one side of the bunker. The other is gonna be just duplicated and flipped to the other side. So let's add collision shapes. And you could do like polygon collision shape to match the edge of the bunker perfectly. This, I'm gonna say that this is too much work for me because I'm lazy. So let's start adding these. I need collision shape 2D, a new rectangle, and let's see where I have the perfect values here. So this should be 8 and 8. Okay, I can move it back like here. Then here I have another collision shape. And this is also rectangle. And this is 7.75 and 5.25. Something like this. I believe this is correct enough. Put it here. Next one. This is rectangle for bottom left. And this is 3.75 and 7 and 7. It matches perfectly. Collision shape 2D, and this is also 8 by 8, I believe. No, it's actually 7.75 and 8. Okay, and this is like, it's not perfect, but it's good enough, believe me. Okay, now we need a script. Right, and this is a script that's gonna live on each and single area, and this is called bunker part. So because it is a part of the bunker. Cool. What we need then are two things. We don't need process. So before we start, for each we should set the collision, which is very specific because it is a part of a bunker and it can collide with laser, with invader, and invader projectile. Cool. And with that we can start. We need a reference to a sprite, but we have to export it. So export var sprite 2D, and we will need let's call this texture array, an array of texture 2Ds because on each hat we'll be changing a texture. So let's also get information about damage, and the maximal damage we can take, and I set this to 3. And we can also connect to the only function that's going to be interesting for us, which is on area entered. Perfect. On what should we do? There are basically two things to do here on area entered. Area. We have to check what are we colliding with. So is that a laser? Or maybe is this invader shot? If so, we will destroy both of these. So area QE creep. And if damage, so current damage is less than max damage, we will add to the damage of the bunker. And we will say that sprite texture is equal to sprite array texture array damage -1, else called QE3. Cool. There's other possibility that area is an invader. In that case, the invader is like humongous and it's just destroying the part of the bunker completely. Cool. And this is the bunker part, and we have to configure this. So sprite is of course that, and then sprite array has 3 elements, and we have to be very wary of what we're assigning here, right? So this is going to be bunker 2, bunker 3 and 4. So these are the stages of our bunker part crumbling. Then we have to assign the same script. How do you attach script? And I don't want new script. I want to attach the very same load. Okay. Since bunker part. Cool. Let's do this to all of them. Quick load. Bunker part. And this is another bunker part. And then we have to assign the proper sprite. Set this to 3, and this is top right. So 2, 3, 4. Now here, this bottom left. Bottom left. 2, 3, 4. Cool. And then bottom right. So assign the correct sprite. Set this to 3. And get this, this, and this. Okay. So this should be set up correctly. And what we can do now is simply go to 2D, duplicate this, go to transform, flip it around Y axis. Sorry, this is connected. Disconnect. No, the X axis, of course. Then move it up until it matches perfectly, almost. So I believe the value is 0.25 here. And I can rename this to bunker left. And let's try and instantiate those in main and see where that works. I believe I didn't change the scale, but this is fine because I can go here and change the scale to 4. And then let's just set those up. So bunker number 2, bunker number 3. Okay, and let's just try and align those. So minus 376. So can I just no minus 376. Oh no, that should be of course plus. And then 174. 174. So they should be on the same height, right? 174, 174, and also bunker 2 is minus 144. Okay, now they are aligned. Let's see if this is working at all. So yeah, this is crumbling, right, as they're being shot, right, most of the time. Oh, and there are things to be fixed now. Okay. This is a wall. First things first, I need to go to my UFO scene and change the speed. Okay, cool. This is behaving almost correctly. Oh, and I know why. We have to go to the bunker and check the collisions. Yeah. 5, I believe 5 and 2, 3, 4 for each. Collision 5, 2, 3, 4. Collision 5, 2, 3, 4. Same here. This is correct. 5, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 5, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's one thing. Yeah, and it can be destroyed now. Cool. Also, the UFO projectors should have an impact on that. And you can see our bunkers slowly crumbling. Cool. Then, what is wrong with my invader spawner? Let's see. Wall, left wall, right wall. Wall, invader. Is our invader an invader? Invader, enclosed with laser and wall. I know what happened. I removed the invader spawner when I was testing UFO, so we don't get any information from our walls now. So go here, find the invader spawner, and this is on left wall. And same here. Find invader spawner on the right wall. Now it should be fixed. Yep, perfect. Okay, so we have bunkers. We have UFOs, invaders. We have many things that makes us happy. We have player moving, but we have to move forward, my friends, and we have to figure out what to do when our player is killed. So we need some kind of life manager. So let's get an empty node, call this life manager, and add a script. Or lives. It's fine. Okay. Let's add a class name. Life manager. And we will configure it a little bit. So export lives free. Find me a player. So in a tree. So to find the player, we have to, let's add a type here just for fun. We have to go up and then go down from the parent to get a player. And also we need a player scene, just like preload, player tscn. Maybe we don't even need already here. Okay. So we need to know when our player is getting destroyed. So let's go to our player. Player. Cool. And we need the information about when he dies. So let's see. On player destroyed. Actually, we need a signal to emit first. So signal player got destroyed. Cool. And then we need to emit that signal. So it's gonna be we actually need that information for our animation player. So animation finished, connect. And here we can check if anim name equal to destroy. Okay, this, I'm making so many typos. Okay, we can fire one time timer, get 3, create timer 1, timeout, and then do player destroyed, emit, and basically remove our player. Okay, and we need to hook to that signal from our life manager. So we are here. We will be getting the reference from to our player. So I'm ready. I'm ready. Steady, go. Player as player. Player destroyed. Connect a new function on player destroyed. Okay. And we're gonna probably need a signal here too. I'm gonna call this life lost. And we're gonna pass the information about the lives that we still have left. So I'm gonna say lives. Oh no, I'm gonna create the function on player destroyed. destroyed. I'm gonna change the amount of lives. I'm gonna call all. I'm gonna call life lost emit with the amount of the lives that is left, and I'm gonna say if lives is not equal to 0, so we still have a lives to play. Maybe make it bigger. What are we going to do? We're going to create a new player. Player scene. Instantiate as player. I believe that player global position, we can set this to the starting position, which I know already because I am so smart. And then we have to hook again to player. Come on, that should be here. Player. Okay, player destroyed. Connect the same function on player destroyed. Like this. And then we need to place it in the right place. So get tree root, get node, main, add child, player. Cool. Okay, let's see whether we can get killed and get respawned. Oh, this is not correct. Nobody. Let's see. Player, scene, sprite, quick load, player. Okay. I don't know why this changed. Okay, let's get destroyed. So I'm getting destroyed. I cannot move. Animation plays. And okay. Yeah, we're small. Let's see. Player transform 4 and 4. 1 and 1, I mean. This should be set to 4, right? Okay, let's try this again. I am destroyed. Animation plays, and I'm respawning, and I can continue the game. Cool. So this is how the respawn works in our game. So the next step is we know that we have the points for each and every invader. So probably we have to set up some kind of system to count the points. And this is like the step before we start working on the UI. So I'm gonna create a new node here. That's gonna, and as you can see, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to split the responsibilities for nodes here. For example, you could count the points that your player have inside of your player node and player script, but maybe that's not the best way. So instead, building a set of smaller nodes, it's sometimes better. Also for your organization and for your focus, right? For your cognitive load. So I'm going to call this points counter, because that's what that node's going to do. And I'm gonna add points counter script, and let's get rid of that. Class name points counter. Oh, we're gonna emit a signal here on points increased, and we're gonna pass current amount of points. We're gonna set the starting value of points to 0, of course, and we need a reference to Invader spawner. So go up and find the Invader spawner as Invader spawner. Cool. On ready, we will have to what we'll have to do, we'll have to go to our Invader spawner script and add information about the Invader being destroyed for a few reasons. So let's see, actually let's go to our Invader and let's see, Invader, because yeah, we need to inform the world about you being destroyed. So signal Invader destroyed with the points for Invader. Okay, and here we're calling Q3, but additionally we're gonna call on we're gonna call Invader destroyed emit with config points. Cool. So this is now emitted. We can go to Invader spawner and we have to connect to that in Invader spawner. So let's find spawn Invader. And here I'm going to call Invader on Invader destroyed connect on Invader destroyed. Cool. Let's see what we would like to do on Invader destroyed. Let's create a function destroyed with points. Pass for now. So this is very important for us to track because we need to know when our player kill all the invaders or how many points do we get. So we need few values here. Invader destroyed count set to 0 and Invader total count, and this is rows time columns. Cool. So then as he's getting destroyed, we should emit a signal. Do we have that declared? No. So we should emit a signal for pointer counter or basically anybody else. Invader destroyed and points. Also, we're gonna need two more signals like game 1, game lost, because you can lose the game in two ways: losing all of your lives or Invader swarm being low enough to hit the bottom wall. That's something that I have to remember to do too. So here we're going to just say Invader destroyed, and as you can see, we're kind of re-emitting the signal. So we get the signal, right? We're reacting to it by re-emitting the signal, but this is the signal for a pointer counter. So the pointer counter doesn't have to know about each and single individual the invader, it only has to know about invader spawner. Okay, emit points invader destroyed count plus equals 1, and we can check if invader destroyed count is equal to invader total count. What we can say is game 1 emit emit, so we're emitting a signal about that we've won the game. We're stopping the timer. And we could basically call the QE free, but this is fine for now. Okay, we have to also handle here the case when we hit the bottom wall. So go to node, area entered. Basically, it is only listening for this exists as a wall and listens for invaders. Okay, so I can just go here and do find invader spawner, and here is very simple thing. This is game lost, emit, and movement direction is set to 0, so we stop moving. Or we could just call movement timer stop, and just to reset everything, set movement direction to 0. Okay, cool. So that also goes here. This is optional. Either one of these is gonna stop the movement, right? And why is this not increasing the font size? Cool. Okay, so we have that, and we can go back to pointer counter. Cool. Or points counter. Points counter, cool. We have that unexpected. Oh, we need. Yeah, this is. I'm recording all of this in one go, so sorry for all the typos and stuff like this. Ready. Invader spawner. Invader destroyed. Connect, and let's call this function increase points. And then I can say increase points to add int points plus equals points to add, and on points increased, emit new amount of points. Cool. Is our game still working? Yes, it does. Let's check maybe the points counter. Can I get the inspector? And here we should see that every time we kill something, yes, the amount of points is increasing. Cool. Yeah, we're getting close to getting our game finished. What we need is the UI. So let's work on that. This is like the final part. So let's add a canvas layer. Let's rename this to UI. Let's save it as a branch. Okay, let's open this, see that, and let's start placing stuff. So we're gonna need margin container just for fun. I'm gonna go to team overrides, constants, enable everything and set that to 16, 16, 16, 16. Perfect. And let's get this cover whole screen. So full rect. Then I'm gonna need a label. Yes, and I'm gonna name this points. And the position, the alignment should be like top left. And I'm gonna say that it states score 0, 0. And theme, I could probably use the theme, create new theme, right? But maybe in the next tutorial, why not? I think that could help. Alignment, center, font size. Font size is going to be, and probably we need to change that to, do we want nearest? We can do inherit. Font size is 30 pixels. Perfect. What else do we need? We will need a way to display our lives dynamically based on the life counter value. So for now, I'm just gonna add hbox container here, and I'm gonna position it here and at the top. Okay. And then I'm going to need center container, which is going to just, center stuff. And I'm going to need few things here. I'm going to need the label. Let's, for example, for game over, let's find a font. Let's set the font size to be 60. Cool, align it properly, so center and center. Let's change the color, I think, to be red, because you lost the game. And I'm thinking I would like to have a texture rect here, and can I get like, I don't want viewport texture. Canvas texture. No, normal map, specular. Can I manipulate this? No, let's maybe get rid of that. Can I change the background directly? Like in theme? No, well, let's skip that. Add a child, which is going to be a button. And this should be like, vertical box. Move it here. Label then the button, let's say restart. Yeah. Let's see, I can change the constant, outline, font pressed, styles. Let's create new style box flat, and I can change the color here to be more visible. I don't really know. Maybe, yeah, something like this. Cool, and I'm gonna call this game over box, and I'm gonna give it, basically I'm gonna change this to game over container, and I'm gonna hide it. And yeah, I believe that's the basic setup for us. Now it's time to start coding the UI. So let's add the script, and we have to create a lot of code. No, maybe not so much code, but a little bit. We would like to display the lives of our player. So I'm gonna preload this, and we need references. So this is our lives UI container. This is our points label. Okay, cool. We also need do we need a reference? We'll see. We need reference to points counter, which is like go to parent and find points counter as points counter. Is that the name? Oh, we have to make it. Okay. Yeah, do it already. Cool. Then we need Invader spawner reference and life manager reference, I think. So already life manager is equal to go to top, find the life, find life manager as life manager. I hate the word manager, but it's okay. Like the word manager, it's managing something. What does it mean to manage something? But it doesn't matter, it's fine for now. And then we need Invader spawner reference. So Invader spawner is equal to Invader spawner as Invader spawner. Okay, and let's start working. Already going to set the points label text to say score %d %0. So we're going to display text in that format, and %d is going to be replaced by that number. Then we need to get the points counter and connect to on points increased. That's going to be rather simple. So let's write that function. Points ent, points label text is score %d points. Okay, let's see whether this works. Yeah, buddy. We're getting somewhere, definitely. Cool. Then next thing, we have to connect to all the signals, right? We have that one. So Invader spawner, game lost, connect on game lost, Invader spawner game 1 connect on game 1. Then we need to create those on game lost pass on game 1 and pass for now. Then we need the reference to the restart button and game over label. So I'm gonna call this game over label and call this game over button. And I will access them as unique names so that the path to them is short. Game over label, and where's the button? Okay. Whew. And we need to get to restart. Oh, sorry, game over button. Rest connect. I could also do it via no tap. It would be the same. On restart button rest, and we need to create that. Okay, and also life manager life lost connect on life lost. Cool. Okay, good enough. Okay, now we will fill that out just in a second, but for now we have to create the texture rects to present our lives. Yes, so for I in range of life manager lives, let's create new live texture rectangle, which is just texture rect called the constructor, and let's configure this. So live texture rect should have expand mode set to expand keep size. Then we have to check the how does is custom minimum size. So vector 2 4025 is good. Live texture rect texture filter is of course nearest. Live texture rect texture is the live texture, and live's UI container at child live texture rect. Okay, and this is correct, and now we should see in the top right our lives. Cool, and whenever I get shot, I should lose a life. So let's handle this. So this is on life lost, right? So, and it comes with the information about the lives left. Cool. If lives left is not equal to 0, then we will just get the live texture rect from live's UI container, get child add lives left, because that's an index, and just call live texture rect QE free. Otherwise, that means we've lost all the lives. Just do what we should do whenever a game is lost. Cool. Let's see where that works. So let's get hit. And okay, this is gonna hit me. And after the animation and respawn, you can see that in the top right now I have 2 lives. Perfect. Okay, let's do on game lost. This is gonna be easy. We will just get the reference to game over container, which is not visible, and get it here. Okay, and I'm gonna say game over container visible is true. Okay, on game 1, I'm gonna say, do I have reference? Yeah, I have reference to game over label. Game over label text is gonna be U1, and let's change that red to something else. So game over label. Add theme color override. Yes, font color, yes. Set this to green. Cool. And also make it visible. And on restart, we're just gonna restart the game by saying get free. Reload current scene. Cool. Let's see if this is working correctly. Let's try and lose the game. Yeah, so let's get hit 3 times. I'm not gonna check the win condition. Well, I could, actually, I could. Okay, so game over, restart. Okay, it's restarts. How to check whether we actually are winning the game properly? We could go to Invader spawner and make it easy for us by just changing the rows and columns to 1. And that's gonna spawn a single invader that now I have to freaking aim at. And this is going to be, yeah, you won. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Basically, that's it. Again, you could extend the game and add sound or different levels, but that would make the tutorial go like to 5 hours, and yeah, that would be too much to record. So this is it. This is how you can create your own Space Invaders or Galaga or anything like this in Godot 4. So thank you for that, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Goodbye.